Oh, hello, everybody. Um, seems like a few of you are here to watch some Ironsworn second edition, I guess, or Legacies, as it's called. Welcome in, everyone. This is weird. I'm not talking to anyone. This is strange. It's back to how it used to be. Just me dying very suddenly and awfully for the enjoyment of a bunch of weirdos on the internet. How is everyone doing this evening? I hope you are all well. I'm really excited to play this through. I'm also super nervous to get this going because I've played so much Ironsworn and Starforged and Sundered Isles in the past, like 2019, I think I played it for the first time, and I have all of the rules just like so deeply ingrained and internalized, and Shawn has changed them all. What a monster. And yeah, I have had a quick flick through and have had a read, and I'm super fascinated by where this is going. And yeah, I a lot of the changes that have been added are things that I really like to see, and have been make Ironsworn fall more into line with a lot of other games that I play. And yeah, I'm super interested to see where it goes. So just a few kind of like high level things about this stream that you're going to see, right? Anyone who has read the playtest materials, I assume some of you have. I know that some of you in the chat have actually played some of this. Like, it's very basic. There's not a lot in here. There's not a lot of stuff about the world. There are no truths that we have. We don't have any assets yet. We have a whole bunch of extra dashboards and codexes to play with that are all new. And what this stream is trying to do, what I'm kind of trying to work out really, is like how the core gameplay loop works. And I'm going to be using pretty much all of the material that Shawn has provided for us, and I'm not really pulling much else. I do have with me, in case of emergency, the Sundered Isles oracles. That, you know, so a lot of this will kind of work for if I do need some inspiration, or if, you know, it's called upon to do that. But yeah, I'm just going to be really using the basic material from the old Ironsworn, which I haven't played in so long. Like, I've not played that for a while, and like I've played all Starforged, really. So it was nice to flick back and kind of look at a lot of that. You can see on the screen that I've kind of rolled up a character already. A lot of the things have changed and have got different names now. But I assure you that this game will probably retain its kind of lethality, but hopefully my years of training of how to fail in this game, you're about to see some kind of like PhD level failure. I have a doctorate in failing, and my family are very proud of me. Barrier Islands, I see someone say, no, we are not starting in the Barrier Islands. We're going to start somewhere that I've never played before in this game. You can see a map of the Ironlands is on the screen. I have got quite a few things to share with you. We are going to talk through this quite slowly. Anyone who's seen my show before will know that whenever I do things in Ironsworn or Starforged or Sundered Isles, I like to talk through the move and have it up there, and because I like things to be kind of like player aids as well as you know, hopefully interesting to watch or entertaining. But we're going to really do it slowly together and learn together as we're playing. I've got chat up so I can keep an eye on any of you screaming at me that I'm doing it wrong. I do expect to get a lot wrong, because it is, like I say, very different. And, you know, when you've got it so deeply ingrained in your psyche of how to do things and what the moves are, then, you know, it can be a bit tricky. I'm going to answer one question I've just seen pop up in the chat. Did Shawn say there was going to be a Legacy Starforged? No. Apparently Starforged is just Starforged. And OG Ironsworn is OG Ironsworn. And if anyone doesn't like these changes, OG Ironsworn will exist forever. You can just play it. This is a new game, and I'm like personally like high level. Anyone who watches the Ironsworn Guys podcast will know that, like, me and Steve have talked about this quite a lot. Like, I would rather Shawn took a big swing and made a different game than just added some more oracles and some more assets to original Ironsworn. I want to see something different, and yeah, it's pretty different. Ironsworn 2. I need to stop calling it Ironsworn 2. It's Ironsworn Legacies, and this is the Alpha 1 playtest. This game isn't due out until 2028, so this, for anyone who has not yet picked up on this, is a very early playtest. I do not expect a lot of this to make it into the final game. Was anyone in the chat in the Starforge playtest where there was like a combat kind of dashboard to go through, and none of that is in the final game at all. But you got to go there to come back. You know, you've got to do it wrong to figure it out. So yeah, we're going to play. I'm going to try and show as many of the new features as I can. If my character is still alive by the end of this episode, we might come back and do another, because there is a lot of other stuff outside of the core gameplay loop that I'm really interested in that I don't know if we're going to have time to fit in. I'm going to say up top, like, it's hard for me to give content warnings for this because it's going to be random rolls and I don't know where a lot of it's going to go, but I'm just going to keep it general, kind of PG-13, action adventure. It's not going to be too gnarly. I know that anyone who has seen my recent detour into Car from Brindlewood is tuning in weekly to experience horrors beyond human comprehension. But yeah, we'll keep this relatively light. So yeah, that's that out of the way. Last bit of housekeeping I've got to do. I've got producer Fiona is manning the dashboard. Please say hello to her. She'll be moderating the chat as well. She's going to throw up the slides as required. Yeah, we'll kind of get through this together. If you could see in front of me, there is just paper everywhere. I have not used a paper character sheet for such a long time. I've got actual dice. I've got all of the various bits and pieces kind of thrown out in front of me. And yeah, if everyone's ready, I think that we should just kind of get to it. And I'm going to talk through this playtest introduction and we'll figure out what's going on here. So, okay, everybody, welcome to the Bad Spots Alpha playtest for Ironsworn Legacies. No cameos from Jason's mouth noises. No, I'd love to have a soundboard to knock those in, but apparently the licensing fees for that are extortionate. So the guy knows how to make money. So what can I say? Right. As we start to play, we're going to create a character. You can see on screen I have some numbers. These are not stats anymore. These are approaches. This is what they are called. I've set them to the standard Ironsworn difficulty, which is 3, 2, 2, 1, 1. Anyone who knows my show knows that's not how I like to do it, but let's just do it. Rules as written. On my sheet, I have 2 momentum. Sadly, we're not going to be able to track that on screen. You just have to believe me what momentum is. In this game, anyone who is familiar with Blades in the Dark will realize that there is now in this game 3 positions. There is desperate, pressured, and favored. Now, this is really just an expansion of In Control and In a Bad Spot. I don't know if anyone's noticed, but that's the name of this show. But like, it's just a kind of moving that idea out of just combat and, you know, trying to make it affect everything you do. And you'll see why we now have positions for everything now, because fans of Ironsworn who may not have read this playtest will be shocked to learn that there are now no moves whatsoever in this game. I think Ironsworn Starforged had 56 moves in it, I think. If someone can correct me on that, I think it's more than 50 anyway. And Ironsworn Legacies takes a wild swing, massively overcorrects the pendulum back in the other way to have 0. We just have like a core action roll that we're going to be doing a lot and then applying various fictional and narrative conditions to it and positions. So yeah, right. We've got momentum at 2. I'm going to set my tier to 0. That's apparently something called Legacy. I don't know what that means, but we'll find out. There's no health or supply or spirit as it used to exist in this game. We now have just a various amount of impacts, and it's going to be hard for me to explain what that's going to look like. But you have to trust me when I say I'm probably just going to be like, oh, I'm dead. Like, and you just have to just like believe me that it's mechanically reflected on my sheet. So finally, someone who will explain me the game. I know I've got a reputation for explaining this game to people, but I really want to just make a disclaimer now that no one should in any way learn anything from me, except how to fail. That is really the only thing I can do well. Our starting position is favored, so you kind of start in the middle, and as things happen, we will see that position seesaw at various points. What we're going to see from this game when we get into it, and I'll talk about it more when we actually come to do it, but like Starforged, I would say, if you think like game design wise, if you think about inputs and outputs, and what I mean by that is the input, then there's a dice roll, and then there's an output, right? Starforged kind of had crunchy input, a dice roll, and then a crunchy output, right? You had picking a move, one of 50 odd moves, and then you roll the dice, and then you've got to determine this output. This version of the game is now a very simple output and a very crunchy a very simple input and a very crunchy output. And that is exactly the kind of gameplay design that I enjoy. Like, you don't want to have to think too much about how you're doing something. You just want to get it going and then figure out afterwards. And I really like that. And you're going to see me try and do that quite a bit as we go. So, right, working down this list, we are going to envision our character. So the character I'm going to be playing, I rolled this up earlier from the original Ironsworn text, which I've not opened in a hot minute. Sabine uses she, her pronouns. We don't have assets in this game yet. There is a note in the text that basically says assets are additive, so they're going to be one of the things that gets put in last. But if she did have an asset, she would definitely be from the core old game Waterborne. Anyone who knows that asset, there was someone who has spent their life on the water, and we'll get to why in a second. Question: do we still have progress tracks? Also, hi everyone. Hello. Yes, we do still have progress tracks. Fear not. Progress tracks are not going anywhere, and you fill them out exactly the same. They do work a little differently in the sense that you're more likely to have a lot running at the same time, for one thing. So that's probably the only change that you have to look out for, that I can see anyway. As I said, don't learn from me. I am a noted and famed dimwit. Let's envision the character. So Sabine has spent her life traversing the flooded lands. If you can see in the bottom southeast corner of the Ironlands map that's on screen now, this is a kind of marshy, fetid bog of a region, and it's very hard scrabble, like all of the Ironlands are. But this place is not the kind of windswept, craggy rocks and the desolate plains of the north. It's a damp, dank, a miserable place. Kind of fenlands and marshes and swamps, maybe a little mangrovey in some places, but you're kind of getting the general idea. And Sabine has spent her life learning to traverse these lands. She is lean, she is pale-skinned, she is auburn-haired, she has it kind of tightly cropped to her scalp. She wears a lot of eel skin clothing, and she has a breastplate of armor that goes over the top of her tunic, and it's sort of scaled, kind of razor sharp, rough. shark scale armor. Her arms are bare. She's pretty hench, I would say. She's very strong. She's very kind of dour looking. She looks like, you would cross her and you'd be picking up your teeth with a broken arm within minutes, and she wouldn't blink twice. She's a handful, and I think that when we meet her, she will be plowing a furrow alone. Where we meet her, I don't know yet, because we're not going to get to it until we start. But that's generally the picture of Sabine that I would like to paint. She is a isolated, solitary, dour woman who looks like she would break your arm in a heartbeat. She is, again, we don't have assets, so like, not really going to get too much into what she's like. For some reason, when I was thinking about her earlier today, she was armed with a pair of sickles, and they're on chains. So that's a thing that I've just made happen. And if that comes up, if she gets into a bit of a dust up, that's going to be her go-to. A couple of sickles on a pair of chains. I don't know why they're on chains. It's a farming instrument. Like, it's not practical to stick on a chain. But here we are. It's the Ironlands. It's not a practical place. I am going to ignore resources for now. Anyone who has read the playtest materials will see there is an all new thing called resources, which is sort of like a catch-all thing you can gain that gives you a lot of benefits. I would like to try those out, but not tonight. My tiny little mind can't take all this new stuff. We're gonna really baby steps this. It's gonna be slow and steady progress. The next bit of getting started in this guide is to envision a situation. Now, normally I would have a good idea of this because I normally know kind of what I want when I'm sitting down to start this, and normally character creation is longer than 5 minutes of me just kind of like waffling about sickles or whatnot. So like this is going to be a little bit more prescribed, and what I'm going to do is there is a list here that Shawn has written of like examples of where you could start, and I'm just going to pick one. And the one I think I saw was a sacred relic was stolen by a rival settlement. You must get it back. So that is what we are looking at. So that's going to be our sort of goal overall. And what I'm going to say is I am not, and this is where fans of Ironsworn, Starforged, and Sundered Isles will be clutching their pearls. I am not going to swear an iron vow to see this relic returned, because that's not how this works. So we don't have to start with an iron vow these days. It's a whole new world, everyone. Come on in. The water's very warm and lovely. Like it's different, and also it saves me having to fuck my first roll up because that is a Ironsworn rite of passage, isn't it? Kind of boning your first roll. So we are going to envision Sabine's approach to this settlement where a rival town or clan or whatever has stolen a relic. The relic is a MacGuffin. So jot that down. I'm going to come up with a name quickly using the Sundered Isles oracles for settlements. Please hold. I should have had Fiona add like some bossa nova kind of elevator music for whenever this is why like all of my episodes, like they look so slick and everyone's like, God, you're so good at this game. It's like, well, yeah, because I cut out like 5 hours of me scrolling through fucking pages. Right, let's roll a dice and see what the name of this is. Okay, this is a place called Stonewood. We are heading to a place called Stonewood. No, actually, that's where we've come from. We've come from the settlement of Stonewood. I'm going to roll on the curse table, which is a bit more gnarly names, to come up with where we're going. We are going to Lost Hope. Great name. I wonder why they call it that. So from Stonewood to Lost Hope. Lost Hope, I think, is a pretty wretched place. And I don't think people like living there. I don't know why. Surely the good people who settled Lost Hope should have called it like Sunrise Kingdom or something. That would have been much nicer. But maybe this place is situated in a very vital location in some way that like it's key that it's there, but no one's going to enjoy being there. Maybe it sits upon like a rich vein of some resource. I know that the original Ironsworn book lists a resource known as, I think it's called bog iron, and people live out there kind of like hard scrabble lives digging for this bog iron. That's what we're going to say. There is a rich vein of bog iron running through Lost Hope, and there is literally no other reason to live there. It's this small in fact, no, I was going to say it was a stilted like village that's like raised up out of the swamp. I think that's what Stonewood is. That's where we've come from. I think Lost Hope is different, like markedly so. I think it's a floating island. It's a village that's made of like reeds, right? Like I went to a place in Peru where like there's just this chain of like villages, and they're all built on these reed beds that are like hundreds of years old. They're like solid like concrete, and they're just connected by these like walkways and little boats that go between them. That's what Lost Hope is. It is this kind of tethered reed island that is, you know, got like a few dozen houses on it, and it has this geographical significance. It has this probably to the area economical significance. And the people there, like, they're kind of grim-faced, stony fuckers. Like, they ain't going to be, you know, there on vacation. They are there living that existence, eking out a living, and probably hating every last miserable minute of it. Now, down at Stonewood, like, that's perhaps a bit more of a window to the wider world, right? Maybe that's somewhere that people coming through the flooded lands, they might stop at Stonewood because like it is a quote unquote more civilized place, like unlike their unruly neighbors down at Lost Hope. But the thing is I think it's interesting that what if the denizens of Lost Hope, like they would have no godly reason to take a relic from the peoples of Stonewood. They have existed in this easy peace for years. Maybe the people of Stonewood like make fun of their grim-faced neighbors down the way, but there's never been any antagonism. There's this kind of mutual respect. They don't cross each other's boundaries. They trade with each other openly. They are more than happy to, you know, receive visitors from each way. But there is definitely a bold move that has been made by the peoples of Lost Hope. But I think it's undeniable, right, that this has happened. That, you know, this relic has been stolen, the MacGuffin has been taken. And I'm going to say that Sabine is going to look for it because, like, she's like the most capable. I like the idea about Ironsworn characters is they're badass, right? They're capable. They're not normal people. Like she can get the job done. And I think that she's not like the most fearsome warrior that they have at Stonewood. That's what it's called, right? Stonewood. That's what I'm saying. I mean, I don't write anything down. You should know this about me. Like I think that she's probably like the one with the most skill to get it done quickly and perhaps diplomatically, but then if it comes to it, she'll be able to like handle it with her fists and dole out a few knuckle suppers. So that's what we're going to say. So Sabine is like on her way. I am now going to envision this journey, and we're going to make a dice roll, like an actual dice roll that has consequence. Fiona, can you throw up the take action slide, please? So you guys will see on screen what is now the core move of the Ironsworn system. No longer will we be making journeys, gathering information, facing danger, clashing, striking, resupplying, none of that stuff. We are all just going to be taking action, and there are hundreds of contextual levers we can pull to make it very flavorful and very interesting. But now, like I said before, we are thinking about a simple input and a crunchy output rather than a crunchy input and a crunchy output. So what I'm going to do here is we are going to talk about journeys. Now, the way this game is going to work when it's finished, I believe, is we are going to have a whole bunch of what's called action codices. You can see here, I have the one for journeys. Got a goblin with a telescope, and he's got a mammoth with him. So, like, that's just good, clean fun, isn't it? I like that. And what it is this is basically like a guidebook of how to use the take action role, right? It tells you like in what ways take action affects taking a journey. Now, you'll see how elegant this is in a second, but for the example for a journey, like in the olden days, if you wanted to like undertake an expedition, for example, you'd set yourself a challenge rank, you'd fill out the thing, and then you'd make the journey over and over again and fill out that and then complete it. You can do that this time, but you just take action and start the track. You can also do it in one, like we would if we were doing set a course or follow a path, as it was in olden Ironsworn. And again, it's just a take action roll with various outputs that come out of it. And again, if it's an inconsequential journey, we don't want to roll. Now, I want to roll, right? I want to make a dice roll, and I want to try this out. We are going to resolve this journey, and what I'm going to do is I would like to roll to kind of introduce a little bit of something into this game, but then I also want to kind of try out this new take action system, but I don't want to get bogged down in a whole 10-box journey. So what we're going to do is we are going to follow a passage. That's not the name of a move, that's just the kind of narrative flavoring that this part of the codex says. When traveling the well-trod ground of a passage advancement, take action to resolve the journey with a single roll. Now, in full game, this would be something that we've already earned. We've actually made this passage, but I'm going to say that because it's a trip between two well-connected, well-known settlements, this is easy enough for her to follow. It's just a river passage that she is following on a little punt that she is pushing downstream. So yeah, everyone, get your reading glasses out because we're going to look at take action, the core resolution mechanic of Ironsworn Legacies. It says, step 1, envision the action. When you attempt something risky and uncertain, envision it. What's our intent? What's the risk? And what is the method? And what approach are we going to use? Now, I did mention this earlier, but our stats are now no longer stats. They are called approaches because they are way more flexible than they used to be. Anyone who knows the old Ironsworn, a lot of stats were locked to moves. And when me and Steve did a bit of kind of homebrewing of Ironsworn, one of the things we did, which a lot of people actually used and told us they liked, which we rewrote the core adventure moves to unstat lock them, and they work really well, and I really like that. I'm not claiming credit for this because Shawn basically said, oh, okay, hold my beer, let's make some real fucking changes, and like here we are. So now what we're going to do is we're kind of just going to answer those questions. Our intent is to basically get to Lost Hope safely, and be in a good position when we arrive, like, you know, approach slowly, kind of be able to see any like threats that might be there, assess the situation, and be able to act when needed. The risk, obviously, is we don't know why these people have stolen this MacGuffin. It's powerful enough to send someone out after it, but the people of Last Hope aren't so much of a problem that, like, I can't just do it myself. So the risk is that if something is going on here, then I'm going to get caught up in it, or there is a more nefarious purpose to this theft. And the method we're going to use, and yeah, we get to choose kind of what approach we're going to do and what we're going to roll with. So, looking at the codex, again, apologies, this will be slow. It kind of suggests that the kind of core action is wits, to kind of make a part of a journey. Now, I am bad at wits, as you can see on the thing, and also in real life. Famous dum-dum Matt Risby. But I actually think it's appropriate here. Like, she would approach this cautiously. She would approach this from a place of being vigilant and, you know, wanting to keep a lookout. Like, this is a very suspicious thing that has happened, and you know, she's not just going to go charging in. She's not reckless. She is not Luna. She is not someone who is just going to shoot first and ask questions later. She can handle herself, but she doesn't even know what's going on yet. So that's how we're gonna approach it. So classic Risby, I'm approaching this with my worst stat. I really love like some of the conversation I've seen in the Discord, right? It's like, hey, unlocking the stat restriction on moves means everyone's going to cheese their like best stat all the time. And I'm like, oh, just say you succeeded if you want to be like that. Like what are we doing? Like, just play a game. It's supposed to be fun and like variable, right? I mean, some people, honestly. Okay, so there's an extra bit to this move, which you'll see in the grey pop out at the bottom. It says, does your intent, risk, or method suggest a high-stakes outcome? If so, you bold text, tempt fate with this action. Now, tempting fate is very important in this edition. It basically is like a kind of, I'm going to go all in on this, chips on the table, and it has some additional perks if it works, and some additional downsides if it doesn't. I don't think this is, at this point, a situation where we might tempt fate. So we're not going to. We're going to roll these dice. Now, anyone who's a fan of Starforged, who knows Starforged or Ironsworn, the dice roll hasn't changed. It is a d6 with your stat added against 2 d10s. If I beat both of them, then it is a strong hit and great things happen. If I beat one of those dice, then it's a weak hit and it's kind of and then if I don't beat either, it's a miss and it's beat. It's not draw with, it has to beat them. If I roll a match on the d10s, there's a thing. We'll cross that bridge if we come to it. But I believe in this. I believe in finishing this like last stage of the journey. This approach to Lost Hope, this kind of lonely punt downstream. I think Sabine can feel the familiar notches. She's made this journey so many times. She can feel the tangled knot of roots under her, the pole that she uses to propel her slowly forward. It's a silent, solemn journey between these two places. It's familiar, but now it's not. Something is off, and she's known this from the beginning, and she's going to find out why, and so are we. So let's get some dice on the table. Right, okay, cool. So, I mean, good news is I did roll a 1 on the action dice. That's standard. So with my 1 in wits, that makes it a 2. I also rolled a 1 on one of the challenge dice, so I beat 1, and then I rolled a 10 on the other. So that is a weak hit, the equivalent of a weak hit. Fiona, can you throw up the resolve the action part of it with the strong hit, weak hit, miss, please? There we go. Okay, so people who are new to this version can see some real differences here. There is not just one result. We now have, like I said, crunchy outputs. So, oh, hey, Jen. So we got a weak hit. So it's a costly success. Now I'm going to introduce a new thing to you all. advantages and misfortunes. The crunch of the outputs of this game now comes with a bit of bookkeeping, and this bookkeeping is going to be like the core economy of this game. We are going to be adding things constantly to our kind of the scales of balance of how well things are going. So it says here, a weak hit, costly success. I get +1 advantage and +1 misfortune. If our position is favored, we get an extra advantage. It wasn't. Our position as standard was pressurized. Not pressurized. Like going to get the bends. But it's pressured. So we don't get the extra advantage, but we also weren't desperate. So we don't get a misfortune. We didn't tempt fate. And because we didn't tempt fate, we don't lose position. So we get now to spend those advantages or disadvantages, or the misfortunes. Sorry, I will say some of the wrong terminology here. I do apologize. Fiona, can you throw up the gain advantage slide, please? God, I feel like it's a TED talk. This is amazing. So you can see there are loads of things you can spend your advantage on. If you get like a strong hit and you tempt fate, then you can get like 3 of these at once. They don't cancel each other out. So the advantage we got doesn't cancel out the misfortune we got. They both happen. So let's see what we can choose here. We can choose mark progress on a challenge objective. We currently don't have one, so we're not going to do that. We can mend a minor impact, which we again don't have. We can gain 1 momentum or overcome a setback. If we had more, we could do that to add narrative things like finding an opportunity or making a discovery. I don't know if anyone remembers making a discovery. That was something that you just did if you rolled a match on a particular role when you're making a journey. So it just never came up. But now we have ways in which to add these really interesting narrative twists out of nowhere. And that's a really fun thing we can do. And it can be like in any situation. It doesn't have to be in a journey. So I'm going to say that we are going to take a momentum, which is always nice. We're up to 3 momentum. It's a long mountain to climb this. For anyone who doesn't know, momentum is it's what we use to bail ourselves out when we roll like shit. And we're going to need an awful lot more than 3 for that to be effective. Fiona, can you throw up suffer misfortune, please, and see what we can do with that? So as you can see, we've got things. We can mark impacts, which are kind of bodily or spiritual or supply like knockbacks. We can lose momentum, but it says specifically in the rulebook, don't just go up 1 and go down 1 of the same track. Like we are not going to do that. Or we can face a setback, which says a complication blocks your progress to move forward. Take action to overcome a setback. Or we can increase the tension. Danger looms. Add or mark a 4-segment tension timer once you mark the last segment, encounter a peril. So we've got this kind of push and pull now. We're kind of pumping these the good things and the bad things that are happening in this world. We're starting to fill them up with fuel, right? We are kind of building this little engine that's going to generate both like fortune for us and also setbacks. Now, I am going to obviously face a setback here because this is Ironsworn. Like, it's, it's not Stardew Valley. Like, we are going to have a bad time. And, you're all here for it, you sickos. Like, you're here to watch me. Well, I've made it longer than my first ever Ironsworn character, which was 45 minutes. R.I.P. Tio Ortega. He died as he lived with a knife in his back. So, yeah, we're going to increase the tension and encounter a peril. Now this is where like the codexes come in, the perils and stuff, like they come with the dashboard basically. So instead of having a move with a few other outcomes and then it just says, hey, roll on an oracle to see what this might be, we've now going to have, like, I think Shawn's envisioning it to be like a double page of a rule book just like laying out with you. So you roll the dice and then you've got all the options to pick from. You can go into a lot more depth than you could have just done with a move, because now there's not 56 moves, there's just 1, right? So looking at the encounter of peril, I'm going to roll. Why not? Let's see what's going on. My first Ironsworn character got eaten by wolves on her first ever journey. It's, like I say, it's a rite of passage. When I made the failure video for Ironsworn, it was just like comment after comment after comment of like, someone's like just died in a ditch, like 5 minutes. Fantastic. This is going to be a setback. Hang on. Oh yeah, setback. Thank you for the correction. I'm glad that people are paying attention. My setback is 68, a tense confrontation, everybody. There is a tense confrontation. So what I'm going to do here, I think, is I'm just going to add a little more flavor to this journey. And I saw we've got journey vignettes. I'm going to roll on that and see if there's a little bit of something we can add. What curious creature shadows you is the bit of the vignette, and then I'm going to have a rumor that I'm going to roll up, and we're going to see if we can feed that into what's happening at Lost Hope 50. Community rejects outsiders. Now that's cool. We've got like a thing. We are going to have a tense confrontation, and it's going to be with a community that rejects outsiders, which is nice. I've got a curious creature shadowing us. So this is what I think tells Sabine that there is something desperately wrong, right? She is waterborne. She knows her way around these marshy lands. And as I kind of tried to say when she was using the pole to kind of like steer herself forward, she knows where every nook is that can propel her further. She knows where the roots are. And there's another thing that you can use as a sort of like a measure, a barometer, as it were, of like how the marsh, this place is, the health of it. And to do so, she trails her hand in the water as she moves slowly through it. And she can feel the presence of these creatures. They are like a cross between like a moray eel, I guess, and a snake. They are kind of huge, like anaconda-sized creatures, and they are these kind of custodians of these waterways. And like they will always follow your vessels, whether it's a protection or not, or like a ward, whether they're real or not, whether this is a spiritual occurrence, like no one knows. But she has felt the guiding hand of these custodians of the swamps and the mangroves as she's been kind of trailing her fingers through the water. And I think that as she approaches and she starts to see Last Hope in the distance, she feels them leave her. She feels them kind of coil up and slither away through the reed beds, and I think she sees more ominous portents. She sees like maybe there's the frame of a rotted boat overturned just to the right that she didn't remember seeing the last time she was here, and maybe there is this kind of gangly skeletal crane, kind of a heron type thing, kind of stabbing its beak down and pulling up like not silver fish, but skewered rabbits, I should say, on the end of its beak, and gulps them down whole. And whilst Last Hope is a grim place, it's not normally like this. And I think that this is when she leaves the pole and reaches for the comfort of her sickles. Now, I think we're going to kind of roll into town, I think. And I think we'll be faced with this kind of rejection of outsiders, this which will be the tense confrontation. And in fact, no, I think we'll have it. We'll just have it, and then we'll kind of roll and see like what it is, what what's the crack. I think that like as she approaches, ordinarily there would be it's not Harbor Master it's not a big enough place for that. But I think there is someone whose job it is to kind of watch the waterways and like make sure the boats kind of dock in the right places, or people can, you know, state their business. And I think that she would ordinarily be greeted with a who goes there type thing, and she'd have to kind of answer, and she'd know that voice, she'd know that person, she'd know their kind of pale green lantern as it hung and kind of pierced through the misty gloom of this swamp. But there isn't that. There is no pale green lantern. There is no who goes there. There is no welcome of any kind. I think that there is a frosty reception in the form of some occluded figures standing between the two buildings that kind of mark the entrance to this place. Maybe it's got this kind of twisted bramble arch that leads the way into this place. And it says, yeah, it's got Last Hope carved into it. And there are these three figures, I think, stood waiting, not responding. And I reckon I'm going to say that given that Shawn has gone to all the trouble of giving us an encounter with some undead, I feel like we're going to have to fold that into it. Someone asks, if there's a setback, do you have to overcome it by taking action? Absolutely. That's what we're going to do. Any fans of my channel will know that like I often don't have things happen straight away. Like we're going to delay them, and I hold on to them, and I do bank them. And famously, once I banked a complication for 1.5 years, but god damn it, it came back. Yes, the tension increases is the clock that ticks down. I've not marked a clock. We are going to necessitate rolling dice here in overcoming this. But as I said, Shawn has been good enough to provide us with some legions of undead. It says, among the realms of the Sorrow Sea, the dead are not always at rest. Some of these cursed beings are benevolent or seek absolution. Others are hollowed and corrupted, driven by hate and a hunger for the warmth of life that is forever lost to them. So I think that like this is the peril that we've encountered, right? We have arrived at this place and we are not being met with a frosty reception from the locals of Last Hope who have stolen our MacGuffin. We are being met with some undead ghouls, right? We are going to roll up some details about them, and then we're going to see how Sabine sort of deals with this. So firstly, we are going to see how many there are by rolling on the Undying Cohort table to see what sort of bunch of lads we're dealing with. Cool. A brood. It says several entities drawn by a common fate. So that's fun. I had a 1 in 7 chance of just there being 1 or 2. I got myself a fucking brood. Well, that's a problem. Let's roll up their motivation, because even skeletons need motivations. They need to feel it to perform. 28 is inflict decay or corruption upon the world. I mean, some people just need a hobby. Do you know what I mean? Right. Is this someone pointing out something I've done wrong? Based on the codex, overcome a setback has a table from what I've read. God damn these rules. But please hold. That is a big setback for the first roll. But look, I'm capable. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Yeah, so the face of setback was a tense confrontation. That's what it said. That was what we're doing, right? And we're going to have to overcome this tense confrontation. It's a bunch of skeletons or ghouls. In fact, that's actually what we'll determine next, which is their kind of form, I guess, because there is a little table for this. Okay. Armored, that's cool. Soul animated armor, relentless clatter, great. So we have a whole brood of these armored skeletons, very much like the artwork that was on the thumbnail for this video. which is interesting in terms of coincidences. And yeah, so we've got this. Like this is above table information. Like we know this, but Sabine doesn't. Sabine is just currently working her way towards Last Hope, and you know, seeing these figures standing there and wondering what's going on. And like, I think that she knows something is up. She knows that she has not been greeted the way that she would normally be. And that is what kind of tips her hand, and she knows that something is very wrong here. But I think that she still doesn't think there's anything kind of supernaturally odd, even though the guardians, the custodians of the waters have escaped and kind of gone off. She's still not taking that as any way like, oh, you know, there is something gravely wrong. She probably thinks that the reason they're not welcoming to her is because, you know, they've stolen this thing, and they know why she's here. They know that like that she's going to get it. She's coming to get it back. So let's figure out kind of how we're going to do that. She's going to approach. Her little barge is maybe kind of 10 meters away. She can see these figures, and I think maybe that's the point at which she realizes that, like, hey, one of them's sort of wearing armor, and like the people at Last Hope don't wear armor. They're like miners essentially, like they're hard scrabble folk who, you know, go on stilts down into the peat and just kind of like dig around using various tools and methods to kind of like prise this stuff out of the earth. And this is not that. This is kind of, it said clanking noisily, didn't it? Like this is armored skeletal soldiers essentially. And the silhouette is unmistakable even to someone like Sabine, who has, you know, never been to war and probably never seen anything other than a traveling militia or like mercenaries or whatnot. She's not someone who, you know, has seen like vast legions of soldiers, that's for sure. But she knows that this isn't right. So what are we going to do here? Now, I think that yes, Steve, we are an hour in and I'm still alive. That is disappointing. I think we're gonna try and sort of what am I doing? We're gonna try and figure out a bit more about this situation. Now, in the kind of old game, this would have been secure an advantage or like gather information. But again, we're just gonna go back to take action. So Fiona, can you show take action, please? So we are going to think about what we're trying to work out here. I think the intent here is figuring out like what on earth this is. Maybe figuring out like how many of these imposters there may be. Trying to figure out maybe who else is around. Like, is there any survivors like knocking about from Last Hope? The risk is that we're going to get too close, and the risk is that, you know, they're gonna respond violently. The method I think we're going to use is, I think we're going to use. I mean, wits makes a lot of sense. Trying to use insight to kind of look, but I actually think I'm going to make an argument for shadow. So shadow is like when you act with cunning, deception, or stealth, and I think that I'm going to reflect that because Sabine is sort of using her kind of street smarts, and she is sort of kind of figuring out by like kind of looking for you know, she's been in brawls before, like she's looking for like subtle movements and like maybe people like laying in wait for her. You know, that's how she's kind of scoping out this scene. This isn't like her Poirot-ing it, do you know what I mean? Now, does your intent, risk, or method suggest a high stakes outcome? Fuck yes. I think that this is pretty make or break, I think, because this will set the whole thing up. So you better believe that I'm tempting fate with this roll. It doesn't give me any bonus or anything. It's just something that happens, and it makes things better or worse as we go. So Fiona, can you put the dice roll results back up on the table, please, with the strong hit, weak hit, miss, because we're going to need them, because I'm about to roll some dice. So she's sort of like making eye contact with the nearest one as it is, but she's sort of like trying to keep her body language neutral, trying to not look like she's threatening or reaching for two sickles on chains, even though that's kind of what she has one hand on. I think that she is looking for these minute advantages that are gonna. She knows shit's gonna go down, right? But she just needs to find an angle where she can exploit an escape route, perhaps, and that's going to be using her street smarts. So let's take action. Rolling plus shadow. Right. Okay. So that's good. So I rolled a 3 on the action dice, right? And I rolled a 2 and a 2 on the challenge dice. So that's a 5 that beats both of those. And as some of you may have seen, that is a match. So on a strong hit, we get a complete success. And we are going to get 1 advantage for the success. We are going to get 1 advantage for tempting fate. Whoever's idea that was, great work. And also, like, as a mandatory thing that happens, this isn't a choice. We get to gain position. So this is a great example of why this system is pretty cool, right? So like we gain position. So we were sort of casing out what's going on, and without me really adding too much narrative to it, just describing that she's looking for an angle, we have increased our position to be more prepared. We're in a favored position. Our next roll is better, and all we've done is do 1 dice roll against a stat instead of looking at securing advantage and all the inputs that go into that and figuring out how that works. Now, I'm not saying securing advantage was bad or that the other old Ironsworn was bad. I loved it, and I still do. One of my favorite ever games. What I'm saying is that you are getting a lot of the same results here with a much simpler kind of front end. So let's spend some advantages. Fiona, can you throw up gain advantage, please? So I can mark progress on a challenge objective. We don't have that. You can mark things twice here as well. I can mend a minor impact, which I don't have. I could overcome a setback, which I think that, like, I think the overcoming a setback, the setback was there was this tense standoff, right? I think that as she approaches, she realizes that these guys are these are ghouls, right? These are dead, and I think that overcoming that setback, this tense standoff, I think she realizes that these aren't moving, they're not looking, they are waiting to be activated. And I think that she's realized that if she gets too close or she steps in a certain way, these guys are going to kind of animate and come to life. I think that's how we're going to say we've overcome that setback, right? We could have like spent both of those two to find an opportunity, which says a promising occurrence or insight offers leverage. Once only. If you take action to act on the opportunity, you are favored, and add +1. Now we're already favored. That's sort of taking, that's cool actually. That's taking like one of the main reasons that you would do the secure and advantage move from olden times, which is the +1 on your next move. It takes it and rolls it into any move now, and I love that so much. But I'm not going to do that. That's too strong. And I'm going to take the 1 momentum. I think that that's reflected by the fact that we are much better equipped now to deal with this situation. And I think the match here, so it says on the thing, when rolling a match on the challenge dice, assign advantages and misfortunes to dramatic or unexpected effects. Assets which don't exist may also prompt specific outcomes for a match. I think that what I'm going to say is that as she sort of drifts by and these skeletons don't activate, I think that she can see a way into like Lost Hope, a clear path to the middle of the kind of the town square as it was, this kind of center of this reed bed. And I think that this match, I think, probably is reflected by, or reflected in the narrative by the fact that I think that she's going to see that MacGuffin, right? She's going to see it in the center of the square, and she's going to see that as she moves around. Let's just say she does like a whole pass, maybe without having to get close enough to activate these spectral guardians, as it were. That she sees that there's an exact number. There's like 6 of these. And they are at points like a clock around this round aisle. And whatever has been stolen, this MacGuffin, is in the middle. And they seem to be guarding it. And there is a way in that she can see. It's pretty simple. I think all she needs to do is get in, get out, and stay alive. That is the proposition here. So should we kind of establish what this MacGuffin is? We've mentioned MacGuffin enough. Should we just roll up something on... I love the Sundered Isles. I think the Sundered Isles oracles are my favorite oracles of anything. And the cursed treasure thing never steered us wrong, did it? Picking up a fucking crown that stuck with us forever. Let's do it. Right. I'm going to roll on the cursed token table. D4. Ha, yeah. 54 is a large leathery egg that pulses and shudders. Now, why the fuck have we got an egg? And why do they want it? So, I don't know, like, either wyverns are big in this game. Like, I wonder whether the people at Stonewood, was it the name of this of my village? We've got this wyvern egg that's just sat in a vault, and it's never hatched. It's never done anything. It's like ceremonial. It's fossilized, maybe, and that's what they think. Now, a bunch of skeletons have stolen it by the looks of things, and now it's pulsing and shuddering. So that's cool, right? So I think that like she's gonna have to get closer and have a look at this egg. I mean, it's an egg. We got to look at it, right? We got to get closer. We got to grab the egg and we got to get it back because I mean, what if it hatches? That would be bad or good. I don't know, but I don't want to not have an egg if it's going to hatch. So once again, I think that we are going to take action here. We're going to roll because something's risky, and this is going to be fun. Hang on, was Sabine sent because she isn't in the know? That's a great thing. Maybe the village elders, or like the kind of the people who know this, like you know, they didn't tell her what had been taken. Like they just sent her out to kind of retrieve something, and like she perhaps wasn't told. And when she sees it, she's like, oh, that's that egg that like we used to get out every harvest or whatever and look at and say, behold the wyvern egg. All praise the wyvern egg. Hang on, I don't remember it glowing, and I certainly don't remember it pulsing. This could be trouble. Maybe I better get it back. That's what we're saying. So yeah, so we are definitely attempting risky things here. I'm gonna be tempting fate, you know, out the wazoo on this one. The intent is to get the egg. We're going to get the egg, and we are going to make a swift getaway from these skeletons. The risk, well, the risk of failure is that, like, I'm going to activate the skeletons, and the misfortunes I might suffer is, I think we're going to get into trouble here. The method is, now she's quick. This is where you get into the whole like, what's going to work versus what's better for the story, right? She's quick. Edge is my best approach, sorry. And that's acting with agility, precision, or speed, which we could make the argument for. But I just think Shadow is by far the more narratively interesting thing here, that she is going to creep up and she's trying not to activate these skeletons. That's what she's doing. So it's going to be with Shadow. I am tempting fate because this is a big swing. Don't bring old baby into this chat, please. I'm not going there. Like I don't want old baby. No, thank you. Hard pass. So we are going to take action. We're going to take action with Shadow, and we are tempting fate. What could go wrong? Cock dice. That's exciting. Okay, so that is a weak hit. Can you throw the results up, please, Fiona? On a weak hit, it's a costly success. I rolled a 5. So with the 2 for Shadow, it's 7. But I rolled a 7 and a 6 on the other one, so I didn't beat both of them. So a weak hit, costly success. We get +1 advantage and +1 misfortune. Our position is favored, so we get +1 advantage for that. So we've got 2 advantage, 1 misfortune currently. If we tempted fate, then we get another advantage and another misfortune, and we lose position. So we're back to pressured. So yeah, we've got 3 advantage to spend and 1 misfortune to 2 misfortune to spend. I think that the misfortune is going to be pretty straightforward. It costs. Can you throw stuff for misfortune up, please, Fiona? It costs 2 to encounter a peril. The situation escalates. Either take on a challenge or worsen an existing challenge by adding an objective and or losing an objective. We can see where this is going, chat. But we'll spell out in a second. So yeah, we're gonna fight some skeletons, and then our 3 advantages that we've got. So I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna gain 1 momentum and go up to 5, as I'll mark on my sheet here, and then I think I will spend 2 to find an opportunity which says a promising occurrence or insight offers leverage. Once only if you take action to act on the opportunity, you're favored and add +1. So I think that Sabine sneaks across this reed island. She's been here before. She knows this place is off. She knows everything that this place has to offer. She's seen it all, right? It is a place that is familiar to her, but right now it feels alien. It feels dead. It feels lifeless. The reeds underfoot, which used to have this sort of comforting, mulchy sound underfoot, now has this dead, brittle feel. Everything is devoid of color, even in this gray place. The yellow reeds and the kind of the marsh grass that's been used to thatch the roofs of the cottage just seem like they are dead, spectral facsimiles. There is no one around, and it's their absence which she feels and she hears as well. There seems to be this kind of dead room effect being here. As soon as she set foot on this island, she knew that whatever power was holding these skeletons at guard was also keeping this place under some sort of protective ward. She felt it. She's not magical. She's not even spiritual, but she felt it. And she feels the power of the wyvern egg start to radiate. And it draws her closer. She's frightened of it. She's never seen it like this. She thought it was just some fossilized relic from a bygone age, a gift from a traveling merchant that had been kept around and stories attached to it for years and years. Oh, it's the great green worm that will hatch on the 1000th year, and it will bring peace and prosperity and make this wretched marshland a verdant valley. But everyone knew that was just a story, but she's a matter of meters away from it now, and she can tell that it's got power. She can tell that it has a beguiling, hypnotic, mesmerizing quality as she gets closer and closer, and her hand reaches out to touch it, and she can feel the warmth start to spread across her palm, and she can feel the power in it. She can feel the eldritch power in it. She's not spiritual, she's not magical, but she knows this is bad news. And then she hears the clink, clink, clink of 6 armed skeletal soldiers turning around, facing her, and lowering their spears, ready to charge. I think we'll take a 5-minute break, and I'll see you back here to see how we are going to get ourselves out of this situation with the ghouls and the wyvern egg. There's the episode title, everyone. The ghouls and the wyvern egg. Thanks, everyone, for sticking around for this first bit. I'll see you in 5. All right, everyone. We're back. We're in trouble. Kel surprise. Matt's playing Ironsworn. But I mean, that's why we play these games. Like, is to get into the good kind of trouble. And you know, if you learn how to mitigate failure and you learn how to roll with the punches, then you have a better time. I was about to say a great time. You have a better time. Is everyone feeling like how this is playing like normally? Has everyone spotted anything egregious that I've done wrong? I'm just kind of looking through chat here to kind of see if I've fucked anything up too badly. I don't feel like I have. I mean, that's going to change. That's going to change very, very soon. But yeah, well, how do people feel? Yeah, a lot of people mentioning Blades in the Dark here. It's a very easy comparison, and like, as someone who's played a lot of Blades spawned games, I played Blades in the Dark least out of all of the Forged in the Dark games. I personally love the system. I could run Forged in the Dark games, I think, with my eyes closed now, having done it. I think that I don't think that all the moves in Ironsworn and Starforged, like I said, no one's contradicted my claim of there being 54 moves in it. But I think that all of those moves, like when I would do a move in Starforged run, the Archer and Luna story, for example, there were several occasions like where I thought about, well, I haven't done this move in a while. Let's make sure it happens in this episode. And I'd work towards that being a thing. That's kind of how I felt like with that. And there was a lot of moves that was kind of superfluous. And I think that anyone who's been watching the stuff that I've been doing more recently, I know not a lot of like the Solo and the Ironsworn fans have stuck around for the Carl from Brindlewood stuff I've been doing. But like going to a game where there were really only 3 moves: a day move, a night move, and an information move. The other moves they weren't really moves, didn't really roll dice for the vulnerable move, answer a question you do. So 4 moves essentially plus playbook moves. And seeing how flexible that is and seeing the kinds of stories you can do with that, I sort of started to feel a bit like there was a place for every single one of those moves in Starforged. And with a solo game, you have to have a lot of those things, those outputs to move the story on, because there's no one telling you what happens when you roll, right? Although I object to that as a concept. But like, there is all these things. If you don't know what you're going to do with this roll, you literally read the bones, read the move, and then you're propelled forward. And that was what's great about Ironsworn and Starforged. But I think that this system, this way of doing it, it's the same. It gives us the same like level of variance of the outputs, but like just making it so simpler to pilot. And like, I would talk to a lot of people as a verified, certified Ironsworn guy. Although having drifted away from it a little bit, I was made by Shawn to turn in my badge and gun on his desk. But like, as an Ironsworn guy, like with someone who'd made a lot of Ironsworn videos and how-tos and stuff, I would get told a lot by new players they found the amount of moves overwhelming, and they would be like, I don't know what to do. Like, I haven't, and it is overwhelming because there's a lot of them. But like, when you do internalize it and you know how to play it, like it does get easier. But I think you stand looking at 54 moves, all of them doing very different things in very different situations and with very different triggers that you might not pick up on straight away. And like, it's just a lot easier. And I don't think that this is a version that's tuned for just new people. I think that this is a version that is just a more elegant weapon, or whatever the quote is from Star Wars. What else are people saying? I did see something about progress moves being gone. They're not. They're in. They're still here. Hang on. I want to ask how you feel about positioning replacing progress moves. No, progress moves are still in the game. Like if you want to end a challenge, you have to make a progress move. That's just that hasn't gone anywhere. Someone else saying impacts seem like the weirdest thing to me. Well, I haven't got a way of showing you the impacts on screen, sadly. On the character sheet, essentially you've got 4 pips for health and spirit and supply, and you mark those with dots with the misfortunes or whatever, however you go. But they are at a minor level, and then below that you have got 2 smaller boxes which inflict a narrative thing on you of you being wounded, for example, in the health column, and then below that is 1 box which is afflicted, and that is a binding impact, and then you have a lasting impact and a ruinous impact. Like if you look at it against what old Ironsworn or old Starforged was, it's a remix, a more interesting narrative way of presenting a number go down. And I think I would rather be told that, and this is the thing, that like in Starforged and old Ironsworn, like I wanted to be haunted. I wanted to have that impact because haunted is a really interesting thing for your character to have and to roleplay. Plus -4 spirit is not interesting. That's a number go down. Now, there were several instances, and people who watched all of my campaigns will know that, like, hey, there was a whole bit where Luna shattered her leg and hip, but then because I rolled to heal and she was back up to 5 health, it was like, well, it's not bothering her, but she's still got a shattered leg and hip and is in this brace. But then after a while, it stopped making sense that she would be in any way impaired by this. And it just sort of got kind of fell away into the background. But like having to go all the way to being wounded, afflicted, scarred, or what we've got, shaken, consumed, haunted, desolate, and having to work backwards from those, knowing that you can't just clear the whole lot with 1 dice roll, I think it's very clever, and I think it's going to lead to interesting role play. I think it's going to lead to interesting narrative decisions. It's going to lead to a lot of things to spend your misfortunes and advantages on. And like I think that's the thing that when I looked at this system, that was the only thing that I thought, oh, okay, this is something I'm gonna have to get my head around, because I was like, oh, it's bookkeeping, it's busy work, I'm gonna have to now track a whole bunch of stuff. But now, having just done it with like 3 dice rolls, I don't think it's gonna be a problem. I think that's gonna work like pretty well. I think it's gonna be pretty easy, and people will just have to get used to it. So yeah, we left it with Sabine, the ghouls, and the with an egg, and she'd been rumbled essentially, but she's in a decent position. Remember that we did have an opportunity here. So in this version of Ironsworn, there's no structured fight mechanics. I mean, there wasn't really in the old one. It was just a different set of moves to go to. There's no enter the fray, which is, the way that we used to begin a structured combat. This is now going to move more seamlessly, but we have kind of started a challenge, haven't we? When we had the suffer misfortune with the encounter of peril, the situation escalates. Either take on a challenge, or worsen an existing challenge by adding an objective or losing an objective. So we're going to take on our first challenge, and I've written down on my old Ironsworn progress track worksheet, I blew the dust off that. It just says defeat ghouls. There is a codex for combat. Let me just dig it up quickly. We may as well do this properly and see what we're going. Let's do it. Yeah, let's just do it. So set up the fight. Set up the scope. It's a challenging fight. Then we get to take a challenge, get a progress track, write it down exactly as we used to in olden times, in old money. If it's a minor fight, you can just take action to resolve the fight in a single roll, which is very much like battle in old money, right? So you can see the same things are available to us without the need for additional moves, additional inputs, and additional outputs. We're going to set the challenge objectives. Now, it's given some examples here, and this is why I really like these codices. Like, it gives you, it's not just, stab them until they go down. So the options it gives as examples are prevail, which is basically just straightforward, just defeat them, escape to get away, mission objectives, nested mission objectives, or opposing the enemies in some other way. So, this doesn't have to be a violent combat. This could be like a, I don't know, courtroom, like argument or something. I see a lot of people talking about Ironsworn and talking about how you can bend the combat rules to do other sorts of conflicts, and I think that maybe I haven't read that properly, but I feel like that's what that's getting at. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to do something I've never done before. It's in the old rules, but I never did it because I always felt like it slowed things down. But I think actually in this new version, it's a little easier, and I am going to add a nested objective into this conflict. Now, the conflicts in Ironsworn and Starforge were always about objectives. It was never about, you never wrote it down as to say, like, kill the mercenaries. It would be like, flee the space station or whatever, and you would have killing the mercenaries being part of this. So even though I've written defeat ghouls, that is just one part of this. The other objective that I've got is retrieve the egg, because I think Sabine has been startled by these ghouls, and I think that they're here to protect the egg, and they've pushed her away, or like kind of got her to back off with their spears. 5 of them have done that, marching towards in this sort of phalanx style formation, while the other one is like scooping up the egg and clutching it close. Now, I think that retrieving the egg, because we've established the egg is a source of great power, right? And I don't know if we're going to be able to like defeat these ghouls without getting the egg first, right? So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to put retrieve the egg, and I'm going to make this a troublesome vow, right? Troublesome objective, which means that we've got 10 boxes. And actually, chat, should it be troublesome or dangerous? What do you reckon? Vote now. Because the fight's going to be formidable. Someone's already asked, this can be dangerous or formidable. Well, I'd say then if we're going to say a formidable fight, then we're going to have a dangerous egg retrieval. There you go. There's another alternate. There's an alternate episode title: Dangerous Egg Retrieval. So that's our first challenge. We have to recover the egg, and then by recovering the egg, we are then going to be able to defeat the ghouls with its power. Now, thinking about it, like, am I allowed to mark progress on either of those? I don't know. Maybe. Or will getting the egg just lower the rank of the fight? Very possibly. We'll see. Yeah, there's a little bit of guidance about setting the challenging rank. If we are testing dangerous next on troublesome, if it goes bad, we are testing. All right. Okay. Yeah. Let's be kind to ourselves, everybody. Let's show ourselves a little bit of grace. We're going to go for troublesome egg retrieval and a dangerous scrap. So that's what's happening. It's been spoken into existence. We have some oracles to roll about the environment for the fight. These appeared in Lodestar. I think they were really cool, and I'm going to use them now to just give us a little bit of variance in this. We're fighting on a floating straw island, basically, and we have rolled a 54, which says low visibility, darkness, smoke, fog, trench rain. That tracks. There's fog, this kind of like wretched pea souper, as they used to call it in old Victorian times, rolling in, which is making seeing anything beyond like the glistening of a spear poking towards you, very, very hard to see past that. There's a whole list of stuff again in this fight codices. The game presumes that when you get into a scrap, you are going to roll your dice, and then you are going to open the pages of these book, and you're going to have like the fight dashboard there. And oh, hang on, what's Steve saying? Getting the egg creates a new objective: escape. All right, I tell you what, right? Why doesn't getting the egg create a new objective that's easier than fighting the ghouls? So I got a choice. I can fight the ghouls or I can escape. That's what I'm going to do. It's going to be a if this then that type scenario. I don't know whether that's rules of written, but like I like it. And also there is options by spending misfortunes and advantage to add objectives or remove objectives. There's a fight oracle. There's all kinds of stuff. Let's just get into it. We've got one ghoul who is coveting this egg, who is asking if I would like an egg in these trying times, and I don't want a bit of it. I don't want a bit of his spooky egg. I want to take that back to Stonewood, or the name of the village that I can't remember. And I think that when pressed like this, Sabine is streetwise. She is backing away. There are 5 spears moving in on her. And yeah, sorry, we don't have rules for everything, guys. Like this is kind of a basic stream, and it's quite difficult to show everything. So it's just going to be the basic core mechanics that are going to be on screen when we do it. I can't show all the stuff on the codex. There's a lot of information there. So this is what we're going to do. She's going to she's got +1 because she's got the advantage. She's got the jump on these guys. She knows something that they don't, and which is she knows that village. She knows Last Hope. She's been there dozens of times. She knows all the little alleyways she can duck down. She knows which fence panel is loose that she could slip behind. She knows where the footing is more sure than any other place. And I think that the first thing she's going to do is she is going to try and make a move to get around the kind of the rank of skeletons that's marching towards her. And I think that like there's these. Some of them have got helmets on. I think what's cool is I don't think their armor matches. They're not all like from one legion who have died. There's like, you know, some that have got armor from thousands of years ago, and some that've got armor that looks relatively new. Like this kind of company has been assembled from bits of poor unfortunate souls who have been kind of dragged out of graves like from anywhere, and this motley crew is just there defending this thing for whatever purpose. And I think that she's going to use her speed, and she is going to try and get around that flank to try and get closer to the egg, to try and get closer to the central. I'll make it easier. I'll say that one of these skeletons is different. I think that one of them is like the officer skeleton. It's the kind of legionnaire bunch, and then this is like a centurion like type. He's markedly different. Like maybe his eyes glow with a kind of eerie blue kind of hum, and you know there's something about him that's different, and he's the one kind of calling the shots, as it were. But he's using the egg. He's using the power of this unhatched with an egg. So I think that this is going to be we're going to take action again, if that can come up, please, Fiona. We are definitely doing something risky here. The success and advantage I hope to gain. I hope to have a better position to get close. So I want to put some distance between me and the spears. I want to be closer to the guy in charge, because he's essentially unarmed. He's holding an egg. The risk of failure is that, like, I think the environment betrays me. Possibly the things that I thought I knew, I didn't. And the method I'm going to use for this is quick. This is quick thinking, quick acting, fleet of foot. And I'm not going to tempt fate here, because I think the stakes, they are high, right? But I think that I think that she knows that she's got the wood on these guys, and she doesn't want to risk that in this moment. So remember, we get a +1 from the opportunity we had last time. And when it says once only, I assume that you can't take it twice to get +2. You can still do it multiple times or whatever in one scene. So we're going to be rolling with edge, which is good for us. That's 3. And with the +1, we are not tempting fate. So let's take action rolling plus edge. Hey, that's a good roll. So that is a 6 +3, and the 1 that we had. So that's 10, and then a 7 and a 4 on the challenge dice. Not used to reading these out. I normally have a little animated dice roll, don't I? Which is, it's much nicer, but you know, budgetary cutbacks. So that is going to be, can you throw the results up, please, Fiona? We have got a strong hit here. So we've got a complete success, so we get 1 advantage. Our position wasn't favored, and we didn't tempt fate. We do gain position, so we do go up to a favored position. and we will spend our 1 advantage. If we move over to the gain advantage, please, Fiona, we'll spend that to mark progress on the challenge. So on the challenge to retrieve the egg. So I'm going to fill out 3 whole boxes on that. And I think that's represented by the fact that I think the 5 ghouls kind of like stumble forward. They're quite slow. They move in kind of eerie symmetry, even though they are mismatched and they don't look like they've all come from the same kind of legion or force or whatever. But they kind of lumber forward in unison, as if they are being controlled by the same person. But she's quick. Sabine, I think, like maybe ducks under the nearest spear as it kind of like jabs forward and then kind of rolls and into the center of the place, into the center of this kind of this island, this floating island. And I think she feels the commander of this sort of troop take a swing for her, but like she's not looking at that. She knows the spot that she's picked out to go to, that she knows that she has to get to, that she knows that she'll give her time to draw her sickles, that she knows that like she will have a clean strike on the person with the egg. But yeah, it misses. It goes over the top of her head. She feels a blade or a hand or something just kind of pass harmlessly by. And then she rolls away, and then turns around and sees the scene. She sees the 5 lumbering skeletons slowly kind of like turning around as if they've completely lost track of her. And she sees this centurion, this commander. I'm not good with military terms. I said lieutenant and lieutenant for like years in Ironsworn, thinking they were 2 separate military ranks, and had to be pulled up on it. But like, I think that whoever this commander is, like we're gonna see a little something different about them. I'm just gonna grab my Sundered Isles Oracle and we'll kind of give it a little bit of flavor. So I think this is gonna be some like cursed character detail, I think. Yeah, let's roll on that. The cursed oracles in Sundered Isles really are the gift that keeps on giving. A flame. Oof. Okay, cool. So this guy has like that kind of light that I think is in the other's eyes, this dim kind of pallid, very funny lieutenant and right tenant. This dim kind of pallid blue light is in all the other like soldiers' eyes, but this guy has like actual like flames licking up the side of this skull and kind of licking out of the helmet, the kind of the arrow holes in the helmet, and I think we can see it through all the chinks in the armor and all the gaps between the plates, perhaps the holes that the blades have struck. You know, this thing is kind of driven by this power, and I think it's the same. It has the same quality as the glow that the egg has, but it's a different color. It's a different tone that marks that out as being something like different. I'm just going to roll up one more detail about this guy because I like doing that. Let's see what else we can come up with. Please hold. Right, let's give him a weapon. Let's see what passed quickly closely by our head. 9. That's not interesting. We'll re-roll that. 77. Oh no, I'm rolling on the wrong one. Sorry, I was rolling on the items and it came up with an accordion. Like, that's not going to help. I mean, that would be pretty cool. Oh fuck yeah, right. This is pretty piratey, but we're going to kind of adapt it to the Ironsworn. It says a cannonball flail. So yeah, I think this commander has got a flail, and I think that the ends of this flail are these sort of like metal balls, but they are not. It's not what they're made for. They're from something else, and I wonder whether they are like. Yeah, I wonder if they're like kind of like rocks or like bits of meteor or something, and they're also glowing. They're like, there's something very unusual about this flail, and I think that's what it is. Each of these kind of rusted chains ends in a kind of jagged, uneven rock that's going to do a great deal of damage if it actually connects. And I think when Sabine sees that kind of dragging behind this guy, she realizes how lucky she was to not have been hit. Right, we are in a great position here. We are in a favored position, and I think that we can definitely make a move to actually try and kind of dislodge this egg from this guy. I think what she's going to do is she's going to reach behind her and she's going to draw these sickles, and she is gonna bone brew like that. It's their old ball and chains from like shackles that you would put on a prisoner, like, and they should be way too heavy for one person to lift, but there's 3 of them on the end of this flail. I like that very much. Thank you. Where were you all when I needed you, when I was like staring into the abyss of trying to think of complications and stuff for hours on end doing my show? But yeah, I think she's gonna try and incapacitate the commander. She's going to use her sickles and she is going to swing one of them along the ground, and it's going to kind of cut through this reed bed and kind of send these fronds just flying up, and it's going to catch behind his leg, and then she's just going to pull it and trip him up to try and get the egg loose. So I think that this is in combat. I think there's a little list here. I'm pretty sure it'd be edge. Fighting at range or on the move is edge. Iron if you're overpowering your foe. Using trickery is shadow. Or are we outmaneuvering? Either way, I think it's edge. I think that's what we're doing here. I think that's what it'll be. Or it'll be iron. I mean, our iron's bad, but like, is this more appropriate? Do you know what I mean? I think she's boxing clever. She's staying at range, I think. So that's what we're doing. It's going to be edge. Okay, that is not so good. That is a weak hit. Can you throw up the results, please, Fiona, if you haven't done so already? We have... So I rolled a 2. Which my +3 makes it a 5, and then I rolled a 3 and a 6, so that is a weak hit. So we're going to get an advantage and a misfortune. Our position is favored, so we get another advantage. We didn't tempt fate, so we are going to keep that position, and our position wasn't desperate, so we're still favored, and we have 2 advantages and 1 misfortune. I think I'm going to find an opportunity, and I'm going to spend those 2 to say that this guy does trip and drops the egg, and then we're gonna have to make a roll to. Or do I want to mark progress? Yeah, actually, that's what I'm gonna do. Because what are my options for misfortune? Yeah, all right, okay, that's how we'll do this. Well, sorry, I'll walk that back. I'm going to mark progress twice because we've got 2 advantages. Now, that takes us up to 9 out of 10 on our retrieve the egg objective, right? Now, we have a... we'll resolve that in a second. We have a misfortune to suffer. Can you throw up the misfortunes, please, Fiona? So I can mark an impact, which means a wound or some spirit or supply. I can lose momentum. I don't think that applies here because, like, I'm in a good position and I've acted quickly. It doesn't really make sense that, like, it took a long time because what I did was a quick action and it was decisive, right? So I'm not going to lose momentum. Increase tension. Now, if I was more used to this system, I think that, like, I would at this point, and this is me saying, and like future Matt when playing this, I would have this fuck it, should I just do it? Yeah, I'm gonna have the island start to sink. So I'm gonna start a 4 section tension clock. So increased tension, danger looms, add or mark a 4-segment tension timer. Once you mark the last segment, encounter peril. I'm going to say that when these 4 segments on this clock are filled, the island sinks. I think the power that is keeping these skeletons upright and in combat is also holding this island up for some reason. I think that's a cool kind of like countdown timer that we have. So yeah, she swings this sickle on a chain, and like she's good at this. She knows how to do it. She has done this many times. She is not a killer. She is someone who uses these fearsome weapons to incapacitate more than she does to wound or maim. And that is exactly what she does here. She gets the sickle probably goes round both of the commander's legs. And the blade of the sickle wraps around his right ankle. And the flames are still kind of like spouting out of his eye holes and kind of gorging and out of his armor and giving him this kind of like presence that he's large and powerful. But then as she pulls back I don't know what they're called, the like knee armor, what are they called? They're not braces, that's what you have on your elbows, but like the kind of the shin guard type armor, bits of those like comes away, and with it the dusty bone of the leg, and it's pulled clean, and he stumbles down and onto his front, puts a hand out to stop him dropping the flail and also dropping the egg, and it kind of rolls out. And as it rolls out of his clutches, kind of holding it like under his arm close to his breastplate, like it was like a rugby ball or something, and it kind of starts to kind of spin slowly. Greaves, thank you. Spin slowly towards Sabine. She can see the fire in his eyes start to rage, start to grow brighter, more intense. And she can feel the marching of the other soldiers moving closer and closer and closer. So we're going to quickly resolve this objective. Fiona, do you have a slide? I can't remember if I did it. If I did a slide for resolving the objective. Let's see. Do we have? Is that? Yeah, it's up there. Cool. So we're going to do what we always do in Ironsworn. We are going to roll the challenge dice against the progress we have. We have 9 progress. We are in a favored position. So a strong hit will be good for us. A weak hit, not so much, and a miss terrible. So let's see what we got. We did roll a 9. And a 1. So that's a weak hit. The objective is achieved at a cost, +1 misfortune. If our position is pressured or desperate, then it gets much, much worse. So this is just a very clean, right? We achieve the objective, but there's a cost. The misfortune, I think, is, and this is where I'll start to use a little bit of the economy of the environment, right? I'm going to mark a section on my clock here. So she pulls up and back, and the greaves fold outwards. The leg comes off. This guy falls down. The flail drops to the floor. The egg rolls out exactly as I've described it. It spins, moves towards her. This was easy. She picks it up, and as she picks it up, she feels the energy. She feels this ancient power that she can't even comprehend course through her brain and course through her body. Now, I was going to mark an impact there. I was going to like mark and narrate like that there was some kind of spiritual or psychic damage that she took from seeing what perhaps this plan was and what this power is and what its purpose might be. But I actually think it's better that like now she's in control of the egg. She starts to stumble to the side, kind of Star Trek Next Generation style, like the island that she knows so well, she is so sure of her footing here, starts to tilt. And as it does, she starts to roll down the reed bed and she is now on the lower ground, and looking up, she can see 5 skeletons marching slowly towards her relentlessly, their eyes now burning with the same fire that the commander had. Whatever she took from them, they want it back. So what do we do? I think she's going to look for... in fact, I'm going to do what Steve suggested. I'm going to say that this unlocks another opportunity, which is escape. And I'm going to say that that's a troublesome objective. So we've currently got a... drop my dice. We've got a dangerous objective to defeat this legion, or we've got a troublesome objective to escape. I think because of how we rolled with that of getting the egg, and because it was a mixed success, a weak hit, I think we're kind of on the back foot here. And I think because the island tipped towards us, I think they essentially charged us. And I think we've got to do something to avoid being gored by 5 pikes essentially, and then thrown towards the commander with the flail to kind of club us to death. And I think this is where we're going to use some of that knowledge that we had from from knowing this place, right? I think that we are going to use our street smarts again. I'm not going to bravely run away, thank you. We're going to use our street smarts to kind of like move to a position of safety, maybe move to a position up high, that we'll be able to see, get like a better view of this kind of battlefield, be in a better position to act against them, or be in a better position to try and make our escape. So I think this is going to be Shadow. I think we're going to take action. Can you take action up again, please, Fiona? So when you attempt something risky and uncertain, envision it. The intent is to get to high ground, to get to the high bit of it. I think she knows there's like a staircase inside one of the nearest buildings. If she goes up there, she gets to like a grain loft type thing, and she can kick out the doors and see where she is. And if she's in the right place where she thinks she is, she can perhaps jump down and attack these skellybobs, or she can see where she can escape. The risk is going to be that I think that, again, the environment's going to betray her. Either this isn't the place. She might discover more skeletons. She might... we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. The method is going to be Shadow. Tempt fate. I don't think this is tempting fate. We're already in a favored position, so let's take action. Rolling plus Shadow. 4 on the action dice, plus 2, 6 against a 1 and a 5. That is a strong hit. Throw the results up, please, Fiona. We have a strong hit, complete success. We're in a favored position, so that's 2 advantage, and we didn't tempt fate. I'm going to mark progress on... Do I mark progress on the escape or on defeating the ghouls? Because, again, objective of defeating the ghouls doesn't mean I've got to stab them 5 times and knock their health points down. I'm telling the story of this fight using this progress bar. So getting into a position where it's advantageous would definitely count as progress. Like I'm in old money, that's gaining ground, right? I think that's probably, how we'd phrase it then. So I could mark progress twice on that and maybe get some momentum. In fact, I'm going to mark progress once on the fight. So that's two progress. Then I'm going to add a momentum. So I'm up to 6 momentum. Is it me, right? Is it me? Or does momentum feel a bit harder to come by in this? I think maybe it's because it's built into every move's results kind of on a strong hit. Or maybe I'm just misremembering because I haven't played an Ironsworn game in a while. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like I should be on high. I think maybe it's because some moves gave you multiple momentum. I've only done it once, right, or once each time. But I think that's what I will take. So I think that Sabine ducks into this house exactly as she remembers it. She goes up the stairs. She knew the family that owned this house, but they're gone. And like maybe the time that she was there last wasn't that long ago, and the accoutrement that were around the house, the kitchenware, and their kind of personal effects are still there, but they look like they are, relics from an archaeological dig. They look aged. They look like they're in another time period. This doesn't feel right to her. It's not familiar. Whatever power the egg in this place had, it has warped time, it has removed people, and it's removed life. But she can't stop to think about that now. She scurries up these stairs and kicks open. She's in the grain loft. I don't know if that's an appropriate name for a bit, but I think it is. The open doors that go at the top. She kicks open the doors, and I think there's like a winch, as there would be conveniently enough for this action scene. There's a winch that would haul stuff up to this loft, and she can see like the skeletons as you can see them, these ghouls, these undying creatures. They are not particularly aware of her. They are slow to react. The commander is more so, but he is incapacitated. He is kind of like dragging this one leg behind him, and I think the greaves are still attached, I think, like by some kind of bit of sinew or like a bit of the ragged armor. The bit of the ragged clothing is kind of dragging it behind him, but he's certainly kind of laboring along. And she looks like Sabine looks like she is in a perfect position to either jump past them, like go over them, swing over them on this winch and get back to her craft and start punting away back down the river, or like drop down and kind of like push them into the house perhaps, or like get around the other side. I think that's what she's going to do. She's going to maneuver around them. That is the aim that she's going to do. They are following her very blindly, like into this house, and she's going to use this winch to kind of fall down behind them and outmaneuver them. That's what I'm going to do. So I think that's going to be edge again. I think we're going to be outmaneuvering, and I think that like in the fight actions, it talks about the core actions of striking at range or using trickery or using edge. The suggested advantage is always to mark progress. Now in this, I think we're going to be maneuvering or outrunning them, and it says the suggested advantage is gaining momentum or overcoming a setback. Now I'm going to perhaps try and lean more into that, because it's not about marking progress as such in this, unless I get a really good result and I can justify it. But I think that what we're looking for here is a sort of change in the narrative, and using that narrative to kind of strengthen our position. So let's do it. Let's roll plus edge. I'm rolling really well. Like I've rolled a 6 + 2 against a 6 and a 2. So that's 8, beats both of those. That is another strong hit. Our position is favored. We didn't tempt fate because I didn't say it. I didn't think about it. So that's 2 advantage to spend with no misfortune. I wonder whether what I'm going to do is, I'm going to do something interesting here. I'm actually going to mark progress twice on a different objective, which is escape. And I'm going to put that up to 6 progress. And you might think, why is he doing that? I'm going to do it because it's going to give me an opportunity to do something interesting narratively. I think we're going to just go. I think that we use the winch and we get down behind these skeletons. They kind of stumble into the house, and then the commander seems to silently suggest to them that they've missed me, and they start to slowly turn around, wheel around, and start to relentlessly march chum, 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 towards me. The commander is actually at my mercy, and one well-placed blow of the sickle could end whatever power he has, although she's convinced that they probably will keep coming. But she's streetwise. She knows these waters. She knows her best chance here is to flee. She thinks that she can outmaneuver them on the water better than she can fight them in this place. She can't. She will not die at last hope. So what I'm going to do here, Fiona, if you could bring up the resolve the objective thing. I'm just going to go for resolving the objective against 6 progress. What could possibly go wrong with that? And I'm doing this because I think that I don't like, sometimes fights aren't interesting, right? And I think that this is the bane of this fucking hobby. Like 95% of people playing this are playing games that with punching 4 rats in a basement for 6 hours until they lose the will to live, taking turns over and over again. And like narratively, to me, like I could keep rolling and mark progress another 4 more times and end this fight. But I actually think that like escaping is more interesting. And escaping's only more interesting because I haven't marked a lot of progress. So I'm setting myself up for some sort of complication here. And I haven't quite read the rules properly. I don't think you can use momentum on progress moves. So I'm definitely not going to do that. But the numbers aren't with us. So we're going to do that now. We are going to resolve the objective against 6 progress. And let's see what happens. I rolled a 4 and a 7, so a weak hit. The objective is achieved at cost. So we do complete the objective. We do escape, but we do so at cost. Now, there is a challenge box here. It says finish the challenge. When all have you got that slide, Fiona? I don't know if you have. Finish the challenge, it's called. Have a look. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, you have. Yeah. So when all objectives are achieved, failed, lost, or abandoned, consider the overall result. Earn boons for your effort and overcome as shown below. If unsure, earn 2 boons total. Boons are now another part of this economy. It's just a good word to say as well, boon. So I think the overall effort was demanding, right? So we get 1 boon for that. And the overall outcome, now we did get away clean, but we did roll a mixed success. So I'm going to say that was a limited success. So I think we're going to score 2 boons. Just going to mark that on my character sheet. And what I'm going to say is so Sabine is going to, she's going to show these undead, these undying soldiers, you know, she's going to disappear into the fog. She knows that they are slow. She knows that with the waters that she trusts behind her and the guardians of the mangroves and the swamps to protect her, they cannot catch her, no matter what eldritch force they have. They were there doing a thing. They were guarding this egg. They were up to no good. They were doing something that was specific to that place. Maybe it had something to do with the bog iron. Maybe it had something to do with the geographical location of Last Hope or Lost Hope. It had to do with this vein of this mineral that's a vital resource in this area. Maybe it was a place of power. Maybe it was a ley line. Who knows? But she is currently furiously pushing the barge, the punt away from Last Hope as the fog closes in, and she turns back and she can just see the pairs of blue glowing eyes start to slowly fade into the mist. Now I'm gonna do something interesting, or not interesting. I'm gonna do something that's interesting for people who enjoy Ironsworn, right? You normally start this game by swearing an iron vow, and you normally start by fucking it up, right? I'm going to roll to swear an iron vow right now. That's what I'm going to do. This was almost like, this scene was like the cold open of the TV show, or like of the Bond movie, right? And we are now going to swear a vow to see something done. Now, the way that this works is undertake a quest. It says, begin the quest. When you commit to defeat a menace, undo a wrong, or answer a call to action, or pursue an ambition, give the quest a name and a progress track. If you're unsure, make it formidable. If you swear an iron vow to see it done, mark this as a sworn quest. Sabine is going to mark her first sworn quest. Now, that quest is going to be discover the nature of the Undying Legion. And I think that's going to be just a roll plus heart, right? Which is good for us. We've got 1. in heart. And this is the thing about Ironsworn. You got to take a bad stat. And if you're not rolling against it, you're doing it wrong. So, yeah, we are going to try and discover the... and this is going to be like... As all these thoughts and feelings and all these connections that she's felt to this other spiritual energy, this magic that she is not used to. She's practical. She is smart. She is, capable. She is strong. She's quick. But like one thing she is not is attuned to the Ironsworn idea of vows and quests. But she has to see this done. She has to know the answers. So let's undertake a quest, right? And we're doing that by taking action. Rolling plus heart. Okay, so I rolled a 6. So that's 7 total, but I've also rolled a 6 and an 8. On that, momentum isn't going to do anything. That is a weak hit. Now, a weak hit says a costly success. We get an advantage and a misfortune. I think the first advantage is going to be gaining a momentum. That's what that's going to be. Our position is favored, so we get another one. I think we're also going to mark 2 momentum because we got away clean, right? And I think that whatever we do is going to be, we're going to be well set up for it. Now, I didn't tempt fate, but the idea that you can tempt fate by swearing an iron vow is actually pretty interesting. But we didn't do that. But we did suffer a misfortune. I'm going to mark another 4-segment clock. And I'm just going to write the word egg next to it. Because as Sabine watches the blue spectral flames of the ghouls that took the floating reed island of Last Hope, it's now slowly sinking into the mire, she hears a crack. And she looks down at the egg. It's starting to hatch. And that's, I think, where we'll end tonight, everybody. I think that would be a cool place to leave it. There is a whole other stuff here, whole other lot of stuff we've got going on in the playtest rules that I would like to get to next time. I'd like to invite everyone to come and join me at the end of this time next week. I will do this again, and we will get into... well, hang on, maybe not this time next week. I need to sort that out with everyone else involved. But like we've got an egg that's hatching, right? I'm gonna get into the there's like a faction turn almost in this game now. There is like there is other parts to do. There's downtime. There's recovery stuff. There's all these other bits and pieces that aren't kind of like adventure-y. Yes, I did a famous cliffhanger ending. Thank you. Don't give me an egg and expect me not to hatch it, right? So let's just to recap. Like Sabine has been sent to retrieve a MacGuffin. The MacGuffin turned out to be a fossilized, symbolic egg that she thought was just a fairy story from her hometown. It turns out that the population of Last Hope has been decimated. For some reason, they have disappeared, and an army of Undying are guarding this egg, which is pulsing with a power that she can't understand. It's giving them life. It's also doing something else. She has taken back the egg, but it is slowly beginning to hatch now. That's where we'll pick up next time. And I've just said that all now, so I don't have to rewatch the entire video to remember. If anyone like, did you guys all like how that played out? I thought it was really fun. I thought it was really I thought it was really interesting the way that you still got all of the payouts essentially for putting less money in the one-armed bandit and pulling it and still getting more money out. I like not having to search for the moves. It still is in my head. That was like the amount of times I nearly said, thank you so much, Emily Fox, for the super chat. Thank you very much. Thanks for doing what you do. First time catching you live. Love your content. That's very kind. Thank you. Yeah, cool. That's really kind. Thank you. I really like that, the way that works. I really like the idea, but I still did think, oh, I'm going to gather information. I'm going to face danger. I'm going to secure an advantage. I think once you get it, once it starts to click into place and I'm not having to look it up all the time. And already, I think someone in the Ironsworn Discord has already made like a bit of a play aid that has the kind of advantages and misfortunes like more kind of simply laid out. Because again, this book isn't laid out properly, and like Shawn has done a really great job putting this together. And like this is a playtest, right? I've played games way worse put together than this. So yeah, I think that this is like wonderful. I've found out today as well, like, because I'm a guy who keeps spreadsheets of things. This is the 50th different role-playing game that I've played. And it seems appropriate there would be the newer version of Ironsworn, or a playtest version of Ironsworn, new game version. And yeah, that's meaningless, but yeah, I've also played 38 of those in the last 3 years, so it's a real kind of seesaw with regards to my output. Yeah, I wasn't skeptical about how this would work, because on paper it looked really great to me. I was worried that I wouldn't be able to feel comfortable playing it, because I think I'd played so much Ironsworn and Starforge that even though the way that my shows are made, like they're kind of more less actual plays and more kind of like adaptations of actual plays, like it still feels really good to just sit down and play. And I think me and Steve had a chat about this like before I kind of went live, and he said that it just felt good to just sit down and play again and not play for an episode or whatever, even though this is now on the internet forever and people can watch it. But yeah, I really want to get into the other stuff next week. When we pick up, I'll get a date for this out like very quickly. I do enjoy the fact that the 4 bits of artwork I've been given, one of them, they're all from Joshua Meehan again, who has done this amazing artwork. One of them is of a wyvern with a legion, and all of a sudden here we are. We've got some soldiers, and I don't know, is it a wyvern egg actually, or is it something to do with like the guardians in the water? Is it something to do with them? Like, what is it? What is in this fucking egg? Well, we've got 4 countdown sections until we find out. So we either have to find a way to like get it, whatever it is, back in, or we're going to have ourselves a companion on this trip. And it might be a big dinosaur. Guys, thank you so much for joining me tonight. Thanks for all the encouragement and enthusiasm and questions. Everyone, say a big thank you to Fiona for doing a wonderful job on the production. She produces all the shows that I do, and I would be lost without her. No, I'm not having a kraken in this. And I think it would be a considerably larger egg. So yes, I'm going to sign off now, everyone. Thank you so much. Please, if you haven't done so already, like and subscribe. I'm sure you all have. Until next time, everybody, it is farewell and safe passage.